everyone. It's Friday, 8th of December. I am Bosin Amafaye, and my panelists this morning, Ali Kasaju, CEO and founder of Rich Frontiers Management in Nairobi, Kenya, and as well as Luke Ofojebe, who is the head of equity at Vertiva Capital Management, an investment and securities trading firm in Lagos, Nigeria. Of course, it's Friday, so at TGIF, as we have the final Friday before Christmas, which is which is next week Friday, by the way. But this is how the stock market finished off across some of the Frontier Africa on Thursday. Quite a very nice day in Ivory Coast, in Nigeria, in Kenya, and of course in South Africa. Egypt took a bit of a sidestep the rest of the big on the continent by 1.26%. So as we go on to East Africa, the whole COVID-19 pandemic is still making a very big headlines, but I'm sure this is the resolution of one of the naughty stories in Kenya since COVID-19 started in matter of the free money transfer of 1,000 Kenyan shillings. In area of revenue, it looks like the Kenyans, the Nigeria's voluntary asset declaration program by introducing a 3-year voluntary tax disclosure a program in the country. And AFDB appoints a new country manager for Rwanda, Aisha Torre. Congratulations to her. Oh, congratulations, by the way. We'll talk about Strive later, who is now on Netflix, the board of Netflix. If you want to watch Strive, you go on Netflix. Ethiopia has revoked 63 mining licenses because they were late in production and poor performance. It just has to happen. Ali, let's hit the ground running with this money transfer. I think Safaricom can now say, thank goodness.
Yes, Safaricom were lobbying very hard to have this situation revert and normalize. So essentially, it took a significant chunk out of M-Pesa's first half earnings, which were reported in November. And as you recall, the CEO had been lobbying the central bank to normalize the situation. So this is very bullish for Safaricom. Notwithstanding the first half hit, wallet sizes increased, velocity within the system has increased, and essentially we've accelerated into the digital future. And that acceleration was assisted in some respects by this central bank edict of free transfers below 1,000 shillings. So Safaricom responded yesterday, touched an all-time high, probably has further to run, already comprises 58% of the stock market capitalization and could easily climb to about 60 to 65%. So overall, I think if you look through the near-term noise, the earnings hit, I think this is a net gain, and we should see very strong improvement in the second half of their earnings year. Your other stories, Ethiopia revoking 63 mining licenses over late production and poor performance. Of course, the central issue has been what's unfolding in Tigray province. There's been a lot of political movement within the Horn of Africa, obviously about Somalia, about AMISOM there as well, about the insertion of Afewerki's Eritrean army into Ethiopia. And I suspect some of these mining licenses were in difficult to reach places or places which had suffered political volatility. So counterintuitively, the message I'm taking away is, yes, the government has taken back these licenses, but it also speaks to increased political uncertainty in the country of Ethiopia. They are making a lot of reforms recently to allow people to hold foreign currency in their accounts, which is an important development. Then we know they're coming up with the issuing of new licenses, and we've already seen that the Americans have announced that they're going to back Vodacom with, I think, $500 million of loan money. So we're seeing a lot of things move around, notwithstanding the political volatility that we've had recently. The KRA, look, the KRA is looking for money from wherever they can try and find it. The problem is that we are in a soft economy, and the question will be, putting up tax rates in a soft economy is, in my productive, and the government should have held off for longer. But let's see how that pans out. African Development Bank appointing Issa Toure as Rwanda's country manager. Rwanda, of course, so far has dealt with this pandemic very effectively, though the numbers have been increasing of late, and they continue to position themselves as a platform into East Africa very effectively.
Ali, quite a very helicopter view of the Pan-Africa, of the East African market, in particular the Cooperative Bank of Kenya starting a global money transfer. It looks like everyone is trying to get in on the game right now on money transfer using technology to increase financial inclusion, ease money payments, transactions, and all of that. And it's good everyone gets in here very quickly, because the payment system and the financial services industry will be the underbelly of the new AfCFTA once it gets started. No matter what it is, you need to clear, you need to transfer funds from one end to the other. And this is what I think the banks are getting very smarter with all of this. I think it's going to be a bigger one from January next, even though there'll be feeding problems to get it a takeoff like an aircraft will be like. But the Nigerian space is a whole lot about this MTN story. And Ali, I'll ask you your few thoughts on this later when it comes to this. MTN says it could comply with Nigeria's SIM card order registration in 6 months. The government, the agency regulating that in Nigeria says 2 weeks. The National Assembly or the Parliament says 10 weeks should be okay. MTN says it's going to be 6 months. That's going to be half a year. There is no conclusion yet as to what will be the timeline. But we got Access Bank, Zenith, and UBA Group's 2019 sustainability report. Ghana's GDP decline, that is there, but the PPI up 8.8% in November. The stock market in Accra seemed to have said, rallying on the back of that very smooth political transition, and that is moving up. Star News Mobile is a startup in Cote d'Ivoire, and they raised $1.8 million in pre-series funding. Congratulations to them. Luke, how is the market taking this MTN story? The South African, the share price on the GSC went down 11% yesterday. It was muted in Nigeria. What did you make of that analyst at the conference call? Luke, let me start with you. Sorry, Ali. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bosin. Please, I didn't get your question, please.
What do you make of the conference call on MTN yesterday about the SIM card registration and the registration, what we call the national identity number?
I mean, MTN learned its lesson way back in 2015 when the telco company failed to meet NCC regulations on SIM registration. So I believe the company doesn't want that to repeat itself this time around again, and that's why they're actually taking proactive steps in terms of meeting the demands of NCC as regards customers having the national identity number before they can effectively use their telephone lines. So I think that's just what MTN is doing right now. I think it's a good one for them, because I mean, you don't want another round of legal tussle with the NCC where you start incurring fines as a result of that. So overall, I think it's a positive move by MTN. However, we need to emphasize the fact that the 2-week deadline is not sufficient for all telcos, not just MTN, to meet in terms of having all subscribers to have the national identity number. We all understand the level of bureaucracy involved when you want to get your identity number, going to local government offices, the time you have to wait before they attend to you, the number of people that will be in various local government offices right now. So clearly the government will have to, NCC will have to extend this maybe by up to 4 or 5 months so that everybody can get enrolled on the NIMC program, which I think is a good one because in all of this, this is more like a reflection of current economic realities. That's just what it is. The government is looking for different ways to generate revenue. Clearly, we can see the movement in oil prices. Of course, it has improved significantly, but still below pre-pandemic levels of $65 per barrel. And the reality is that we might not get to that level again due to the gradual shift we are seeing from the consumption of fossil fuels to cleaner energy in advanced economies. So right now, government is trying to increase its database of its citizens such that it can easily track tax payments. So at the end of the day, this is just a means to increase the tax net, and that can, going forward, help to generate more tax revenue for the government.
Well, thank you so much for weighing in, Luke, on that. How are you folks in Nairobi, in Kenya, handling this, Ali, when it comes to making sure that everyone on the telco platforms are well registered, are well captured? There's a new tax regime starting January 2021 in Kenya as well. The authorities there are as hard put for money like Nigeria.
So in Kenya, actually, this process, which the government is forcing onto MTN, actually happened a couple of years ago. So currently, it's a pretty seamless integration. The government can identify most phone numbers, and in some respects, we're a bit ahead of that particular curve. So I think Kenya is ahead of things. Increasingly, what I'm seeing is the integration of systems across countries in sub-Saharan Africa in order to identify taxpayers, identify people in terms of national security as well. And we're really moving further and further towards a surveillance society, which is something that human rights activists need to alert everyone about as well.
Well, it's interesting that it looks like we can't eat the carrot without a bit of the stick somewhere. If we want the global information superhighway, ease of doing business, ease of transactions and everything, I think someone would have to keep an eye that we don't have a few bad eggs use the financial system to sponsor terrorism that will come back and hurt us, our children, and what have you, hurt businesses and our lives, as it were. And then make sure that at least everyone pays fair share of the tax authorities. It looks like we asked for technology or digital economy and we got it. Then we've got to pay a little bit for it. A little bit on dressing in public or in private, by the way. The government will want to keep an eye on everyone for a number of reasons, but human rights have to be respected. That I'm sure of. Let's touch on Southern Africa. Because it looks like the economy is looking to expand almost 4% next year. This is coming straight out of the blues. Looking at the third quarter, 66.1% GDP expansion. It looks like there's a bit of a high optimism there that the most advanced economy in Africa will roar next year back into positive territory. Zimbabwe's central bank has gotten very smart. They want to unbundle the gold refining and money printing unit. So the government will hold 40% of the gold refining facility, while the government says the central bank will own 100% of the printing unit because of security issues. You don't want anyone own the shares of printing units with you, just in case some guys get clever overnight and put paper in the machines and add some ink and they just print some cash and goes through the back door. Mozambique's policy rate left at 10.25%, and congratulations to Masayiwa of Econet. It's making Africa proud out there on Netflix. Ali, let's start with Netflix. This is one great son of the continent, the Zimbabwe billionaire and Econet founder.
Yes, I've got to give full marks to Netflix, I think, and let me explain why. A lot of people saw it as a US-centric business, and actually, the more I look at it, it's globalized. They're producing tremendous content from the continent, from all over the world, and really they've broken that monolith that was Hollywood. And I think they've done a very, very clever job of encouraging content creation wherever they are, and bringing Strive Masiyiwa on board with his media experience, his telecom and information technology experience, I think is a big win for Netflix. I'm a real bull on the stock. I know it's expensive, but I think it's got a long way to go. And essentially, I'm very bullish about the fact that they've excited and encouraged local content creation. Today, I can watch Nollywood movies, I can watch South African content, I can watch Kenyan content, and they've done more for African content than anyone I can think of. So great story, and congratulations to Strive on getting on that board. South African economy to expand 3.9% in 2021. That's a bullish call. That's the most bullish we've had all year, sliced through 15 now, like a hot knife through butter. The market is much more optimistic about the South African economy, but a lot needs to be done. And also we need to keep an eye out on the coronavirus, which has been surging of late and could prove problematic in the first quarter if that surge continues. Zimbabwe unbundling gold refining and printing unit into two companies. I think that's positive. They're obviously trying to raise some equity via the gold refining entity, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Mozambique obviously struggling with an insurgency in Cabo Delgado. It's important that they get that oil and gas on stream sooner rather than later, and therefore they need to deal with that insurgency. 10.25% rates, that's pretty juicy in the current environment where the dollar's paying you nothing. But I tend to agree with that forecast of slow recovery in 2021.
Thank you. We appreciate that, Ali. Luke, Ali just touched on the coronavirus and its impact on the Southern African economy. Yesterday, the National Economic Council, headed by the Vice President for Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, reiterated those COVID-19 protocols and says there should be further tightening of these COVID-19 protocols. And the press statement issued talked about enlargement of COVID-19 ad hoc committee, quote, to consider additional measures to manage the issue. So do you think we need additional measures? Do we need a need to tighten the protocols a little bit further so that we don't have to come back and lock down the economy in one way or the other?
Yes, I agree with what he said yesterday in terms of having tighter measures in order to combat the spread of COVID-19. But really, when you are looking at the numbers themselves, I mean, you could tell that you could really understand why Nigerians are not fully complying with social distancing measures. Clearly, we've been having a higher number of cases lately. I mean, yesterday it got to a record level of over 1,145. But if you look at the fatality rates, that has been dropping consistently since the month of August. So fatality rates, that's death rate divided by total number of cases, that has been dropping. So Nigerians are looking at these numbers and they are more like, oh, it's more like this thing is not as deadly as various media houses have painted it. So I mean, we can go about carrying out our daily activities and just pay less attention to the spread of COVID-19. So when it comes to this issue, I think it's not enough for the government to say, yes, we should come up with tighter measures. I think the government should also look at ways it can actually enlighten a number of the masses, especially for the ones that are not as educated as the elites in the society. So let them know um, the deadly effects of the pandemic of the coronavirus. Especially, let them know the ones that are most vulnerable to COVID-19, the older ones, um, people that are age 60 and above, and for those that have underlying illnesses. So the government needs to look at various ways it can actually enlighten the masses on what COVID-19 actually entails. So that way Nigerians will have to look beyond what the numbers are saying. Because I mean, why the fatality rate is dropping, it could be that the ones that are being infected right now are actually the younger population whose immune system is quite strong. So for the vulnerable ones, by the time they get infected, you might start seeing, an increase in the number of an increase in the fatality rate. So I think it's more of governments coming up with ways to enlighten the masses, basically.
Look, very brilliant idea. And I'll explain why in just a few seconds. Because what we did at the peak of it in March, April, May, June was that just wash your hands, social distancing, just like that, and lump everybody together. And I didn't see the message you're talking about very clearly in the Nigerian instance, in which, unlike the UK and the US, for example, that those who are of certain age should be, or who have certain underlying health situations should be a whole lot more careful. Then you begin to bring it all the way down. Maybe if we begin to stratify it in this manner in our public, in government's public and health communication and briefing, perhaps it will begin to make a sense with to everyone on the street. But it looks like this carpet idea that everybody can get COVID-19. Yes, anyone can get infected, by the way. But then we still need to stratify those who are most vulnerable, those who are vulnerable, and those who are below the line to get a whole sense of where we're coming from and where we're going. And perhaps that will help each and every one of us understand why it is important for everyone to pay very good attention to this. So I agree with you that communication here and rewriting our communication, our PR, whatever, TV, radio, messages, whatever, online, whatever, by the government. And I think the media should also take that on board very quickly, in particular the CDC and the health authorities. We'll try and push that out and see how it works. Thank you very much on that, very important. I was hearing quite a bit of noise around your end there earlier, Luke. We thought that it's a Friday, so it looks like everyone is on the street for a very nice time ahead of Christmas. A whole lot of weddings and social events going on. And Mr. Vice President yesterday was worried that we could see an exponential increase in the numbers end of these holidays with marriages, church events, so religious events, and a whole lot of that happening. Stay safe, everyone, and be very careful. Finally, in North Africa, it looks like the handshake between Egypt and its neighbors continue to get warmer, with Abu Dhabi's National Oil Corporation interested in Egypt's Wataniya's petroleum company. The National Bank of Egypt is cutting its stake in real estate Egyptian consortium, just a few notches in percentage terms. Morocco is reporting the third quarter bank lending increase of 5.6% despite the pandemic. That sounds like good music. Ali.
So firstly, Egypt and Abu Dhabi are very, very close allies. Mohammed bin Zayed of Abu Dhabi was a strong supporter of al-Sisi, and you'll continue to see economic support out of Abu Dhabi into Egypt on a continuous and a pretty heightened basis. In my view, this is also part of the emerging alliance between the Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Greece, and others. Looking at the NBE cutting a stake in real estate, the Egyptian consortium, interestingly, I saw just before we came on air an announcement that the Egyptian government were receiving $500 million for social housing, and President Al-Sisi has also signed off on that. So there's plenty of liquidity being pumped into the Egyptian economy at the moment. Bank lending increasing 5.6% in Morocco. That's very interesting, isn't it? It shows you that liquidity is available, and that money is now being put to work. We could see a sharp uptick in that going forward. And of course, with respect to your Tunisia story, it's the 10-year anniversary yesterday of the Bouazizi's self-immolation, which triggered the Arab Spring.
Interesting. Bouteflika. That's very interesting. That was an interesting part of the history there in our political history of North Africa. Just about a minute or less, what's your outlook for next week when we at Christmas on Friday next week? By this time, Friday will be off air and off the show here. We'll be giving everyone just a couple of days break, as it were. So I'm sure everyone will be on break as well. So what's your take as we continue to see this rally in Nigerian equities market all through? This Santa rally is here to stay, about 35% year to date.
And really what we are seeing in the equity market right now is more of positive trading. So as the year is coming to an end, we'll start seeing portfolio rebalancing. So a number of portfolio managers will start to reallocate the assets under their management. So you see more of bargain hunting in the equity market, more of positive sentiment. So over the next couple of trading sessions, it will be more of positive trading sentiments. We'll see stocks, especially the fundamentally sound stocks, the stocks in the banking sector, in the consumer goods sector, as well as the industrial goods sector. We'll see them rallying further in the next couple of trading sessions. Let's also not forget that interest rates in the fixed income space, are still very low. So we might just see another round of liquidity diversion from the fixed income space to the equity market, and that will further support trading sentiment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for giving us a sense of where we're going next week. And we wish you folks all the best also in Nairobi with the market in East Africa. Thank you so much, Ali Kansachi. We appreciate your time this week. Hope it's been a very profitable week for you. Stay safe, everyone. Ali from Nairobi, Ali Kansachi from Rich Frontiers Management, the man popularly known as the Rich Man of Nairobi. And Luke Ofojebe, we thank you so much, Head of Equity Research at Vertiva Capital Management, an investment banking and financial services operator in Nigerian space. Thank you, both of you, for being on the show this morning. Have a great day. Next week we'll be on the show with you for Monday and Tuesday. Then on Wednesday you guys will be taking off till the 29th of December. Let me just drop that in here. Thank you so much. Have a great day and have a great weekend ahead. Thank you very much. Bye for now.